So I'm really excited. I just got a package in from npcstuff.com. New set of fat pads for this MPD24. These are the thick fat pads, which are easily twice the thickness of the standard pads, and they come with a free set of corks that you stick on underneath that enhances the sensitivity. I haven't practiced this, so you're kind of just going to have to go along with me here and see what happens. First thing you're going to want to do is, at least from my knowledge, this pad board is connected to the slide potentiometer board on the inside of this case. So we will need to remove these slider knobs in order to be able to remove that board and replace these pads. These slider knobs just pop right off the top. You'll want to make sure that you're pressing down with a couple of fingers to give yourself some support, and then pull straight up on these knobs to release them. They're really easy to get off. You just want to make sure you're not bending to one side or the other or pulling forward or back as you're pulling these off, as to not basically mess up your slider. I did buy a couple of custom slider knobs from npcstuff.com as well, which maybe I'll show you guys later if this video doesn't run too long. So that's that. All our screws are out. I'm gonna just very carefully lift this lid a bit and see what's going on. It looks like these two screws here mount into this metal bar, which has a piece of padding on the bottom, which then meets up to the circuit board there and keeps everything stable while you're, you know, beating the hell out of it like you should a MPD or MPC. I'm just gonna carefully stand this up here, get my beer out of the way, as to not put any tension on these cables, not too much tension on these cables, not kink them. The board, which is your I/O board, here on the back, it's got your 5-pin DIN MIDI. We've got a almost what's essentially a twist tie here they're using as a strain relief for one of these connectors. You can just loosen that up. It'll help you get a little more slack on there. And it looks like we can just lay this out. We now have access to our inside board. I'm going to go ahead and yank these as well. One thing to mention here on this top screw that's holding down this metal bracket here, there is a ground lug attached to it. You'll want to take note of that and make sure that you replace it when everything goes back in. That adhesive stuck a little bit as well. I just had to pry a little bit, and this rubber almost acted as an adhesive, but it's not. It's just rubber. The small ground lug I was speaking of is right here. You'll want to take care not to bend this wire too much. You don't want to break where it's actually soldered to. When you reinstall this bracket again, is simply take your screw, put it through the ground lug, through the hole, and line it up with the plastic hole in which you removed it from, and you'll be good to go. I just figured out something else. Just dawned on me that this is all one motherboard. So my intuition about just these sliders being attached to the motherboard and only having to be removed was incorrect. It looks like all these knobs will have to be removed as well, which is the same process. It's very simple. You just pull them straight off. Give yourself a little bit of leverage on the controller itself as a base, and they pop right off. When I took the knobs off, I noticed that they didn't have nuts. However, the 4 center ones do. That's I guess that's how you cut down on costs. Alright, so now that we have our 4 washers and nuts removed, we should get a little more wiggle out of this guy. It seems like I'm still hanging up on something here. There you go. Don't forget those last 2 screws. So what I'm going to do here is very carefully just roll this over so that the ribbon cable is not crimped, pinched in any way, or strained. Try and get you the best view of this I can. We have 2 small plastic pegs here, little feet for the pads to ride home in. Got my new pads here. Just going to go ahead and set them in exactly the same way that the other ones were. Making sure that my little plastic legs line up there. Go ahead and slap on these corks. They have adhesive on one side, which obviously goes to the pad. Dirty pots and dirty sliders make scratchy noises. Nobody likes that. So, very gingerly, very carefully, gotta get just the right angle to dangle on that one to make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on this ribbon cord here. Ribbon cable, excuse me. And then I just lift it up a little bit, and she popped right into place. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these 2 screws that were messing with me at the end there back in, and then I'm going to put the nuts back on the 4 pots. That'll be the 4 center pots. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right here. I'm going to finish reassembling this thing. Just make sure on reassembly, don't forget to put your bars back in where they go. The open side of the bars are going to face the outside of your housing. And don't forget, with your other bar, to reattach your grounds. Alright, we'll be right back and see what the finished product looks like.